Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this podcast, I am going to discuss about first lecture in Kent's lectures on homeopathic philosophy. That is the title of this lecture is The Sick. So it can be thought of a kind of commentary by Dr. J.T. Kent on the first aphorism and specifically on the term the sick. What does the sick mean to the old school practitioners and homeopathic practitioners? How do they both differ in their approach, and what are the beliefs, or say what are the principles on which these two systems work? It's a kind of compare and contrast basically. So, to begin with, he says that homeopathy asserts that there are principles which govern the practice of medicine, whereas the old school declares that the practice of medicine depends entirely upon experience, upon what can be found out by giving medicines to the sick. So, in some or the other way, he is trying to explain that the old school is based on experience and not concretely upon some laws, whereas homeopathy is based on some sort of principles and laws which are universal and which are uniform in their extent. And he also says that the whole school denies the existence of principles, and with apparent reason, looking at the matter from the standpoint of their practice and methods. They also not only believe in some principles, they sometimes may also condemn the existence of such principles. And they also deal with only the ultimates, that means the end results of the disease or sickness, and they observe only the results of disease and either deny or have no knowledge of the real nature of man, what he is, where he came from, what his quality is in sickness or in health. So mostly, to put it in simple words, the end result is only what is concentrated upon by the old school practitioners, not on the product, or say sorry, not on the source which actually the sickness produced, that means on the man. So the focus is very much less on the man and more upon the end result. So also this may also imply that in effect they proclaim, that means the old school practitioners proclaim disease to be something that exists without a cause. So sometimes they even may say that there is nothing a man, or say a person, involvement in getting to that extent of sickness. They think that sickness is something else and it should be dealt individually and separately, not in association with the man who is actually suffering with the sickness. And they accept nothing but what can be felt with fingers and seen with eyes and otherwise observed through sense aided by improved instruments. So in some simple words, they give a very much high importance to the pathological aspect and microscopic evaluation, and unless and until something is not what to say fulfilled by these criteria, they don't think it is to be a sickness, even the person says is not feeling well or so. So the man is not given as much as priority in old school method of practice as it is given in homeopathy. So they also say that there is nothing and also he stresses upon a point that existence of something indicates also something prior to it. So existence of some sickness indicates something which is not functioning properly, which used to be functioning properly when the person was in a healthy situation. So homeopath operates on, say, that kind of system which was working harmoniously when he was in health, and he tries to restore that, not the end result which becomes evident through signs and symptoms. And by this means we arrive at a state in which we do not assume but in which we know. So it is evident that sickness is the end result, right? Sickness in itself is something, it's not a problem, but the person is sick, so the sickness is one of the evident factor. That's the thing he wants to say. So he also says that the old school of method is some kind of mere expressions of opinion, and therefore beware of the opinion of men in science because they keep on changing. And according to him, the true homeopath, when he speaks of the sick, knows who it is that is sick, whereas the allopath doesn't know. So according to him, the homeopath observes wonderful changes resulting from potentized medicine, and being compelled to reflect, he sees that the crude drugs cannot heal the sick, and that what changes they do effect are not real but only apparent. So homeopath truly understands that the person is sick, not the sickness which he has to work upon, and he totally understands the power of the potentized medicine and their action on a human body. And with this awareness and with this understanding only, it prescribes medicine so that the restoration of the diseased individual occurs. So it is a man that is sick and to be restored to health, not his body, not the tissues. This is something he stresses upon continuously, that we have to treat sick individuals and there are no sicknesses to be treated. And not only that, he also says that it is nonsense to say that prior to the localization of the disease the patient is not sick. So unless and until something is proved to be sick under some microscope, or say using some kind of sophisticated machinery, if something doesn't fulfill under that circumstances, we can't say the person doesn't have the sickness prior to that. Before getting into that structural point of view, there is always a functional disturbance that that is present in the body, that it gets up in the form of structural changes. So any structural changes which is evident currently was always which will be exhibited with some functional signs and symptoms that homeopath should be looking for, which are not evident under some machine but which can be only understood by observation, by proper inquiry and case taking, and proper inquiry of the attendance of the patients as well. So for an eruption on the skin, we would use local means to stimulate the functions of the skin and make it heal, and believing that the eruption had no cause behind it, we would conscientiously think we had cured the patient. But this is the reductio ad absurdum, for nothing exists without a cause. The organs are not the man is prior to the organs. So that is what he want to say. Before an disturbance get localized in an organ, it is definitely the vitality, or say the central force, that has being disturbed, and we have to work upon restoration of that, and the organ changes will also be restored to the normalcy eventually. The tissues could not become sick unless something prior to them had been deranged and so make them sick. What is there of this man that can be called the internal man? So what is called as internal man? What is called as man prior to the tissues? He says that the combination of the will and understanding constitute man. Conjoined they make life and activity. They manufacture the body and cause all the things of the body. So this is something, the will and the understanding and the vitality, these three things separate a living human body from a dead human body. The dead human body also has all this assemblance of organs. All the organs are present even in the dead body. All the eyes, nose, heart, brain, but everything is present, but the functioning is the only thing that is present in the living body and it is not present in the dead body. And the will and the understanding are also two of the components that are present in the living body and which are not present in the dead body. So he clearly makes us understand that a man is not just an assemblance of the organs or tissues, but is much more sophisticated and complicated than that. It is the sole duty of the physician to heal the sick. It is not his sole duty to heal the results of the sickness, but the sickness itself. So the sickness begins in the human and gets exhibited in the forms of sickness or signs and symptoms. When the man himself has been restored to health, there will be restored harmony in the tissues and in the activities. Then the sole duty of the physician is to put in order the interior of the economy. It is the will and the understanding conjoined. So he says once the health is restored, the tissue changes gets restored and also the internal man gets restored. That means the will and the understanding. They are not the disease. Hahnemann once said there are no diseases but the sick people. That is a very, very important point we have to remember throughout our life so that we won't make any mistakes using this system. And also he says that sickness can be learned by the study of provings of drugs upon the health economy. That means he says materia medica. So different kinds of sicknesses that are not expressed or explained in the practice of medicine also are present and can be treated by even when diagnosis is not made, but merely by usage of signs and symptoms also we can treat. So to sum up, allopathics or old school practitioners have opinions or hypotheses in regards to disease that keeps on changing. They only focus on end result of problem and mostly believe there is only that way and the cause that precedes disease onset. And of course they believe there is nothing cause is not present according to old school practitioners. They always look on for proof that can be seen under microscope. Homeopath has his view on natural laws where one's sickness does not need any validation and it is evident when one is diseased. Sickness is for the body and symptoms and disease are result of it. Cause is very much important in treating the disease. It is duty of the physician to heal the sick and not sole duty to heal the sickness. Result of the sickness, that he means to say. There are no diseases but diseased or sick people. Will plus understanding constitutes human body and differentiates it from dead and which defines life. So these are some things which have been discussed in first lecture of Ken's philosophy. Hope this podcast was helpful. If so, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Till then, bye bye and have a good day. Bye.